So here's a quiz for you. What do you think people complain most about their boss? Have you ever worked for someone that you thought was a nightmare boss? You see, I just got a phone call from a client where she was sharing with me how frustrated she is about the boss that she works for. And it really made me think about all of the bosses that I've worked for. In a minute, we'll take a quiz here. What do you think the things that people complain most about are? In my own life, I've had some bosses that were really hard to work for. And it made me also think about, how can I be the boss I wish I always had? Think about that in your own life. You as a leader, how can you be the boss you wish you always had? I've got a great answer for that question after our quiz. Something that's really helped me, I think, be proud of the way that I have been a boss. Not perfect by any means. I've made my share of mistakes too. But I think better today by asking myself that question. How can I be the boss I wish I always had? So think about that for yourself. Here's our quiz, okay? Or here are the top 3 things that people complain about. What do you think they complain about most? So here it is. The number one thing that people complain about from their boss is micromanagement. The boss hovering over you, always wanting to tell you how to do every little thing, not giving you the freedom to really create the impact in the work that you want to create. Micromanaging, number one. I'm lucky in the fact that I wouldn't say I've really had a lot of micromanagement in the bosses that I've worked for. So ironically, I can't say that I've had that one. How about you? Have you experienced that? If you have, I'd love for you to share about it. If you would, put something in the comment below about a story, a time that you worked for someone that was a micromanager and how it affected you. So number 2, here's the number 2. Number 2 is either inconsistent, vague, or outright deceptive communication practices. Now, this is one I have had in my life. Times where I felt like I was up for a raise. I had done an amazing amount of work and felt really proud of what I had done and expected and was even promised a raise. And then the boss told me that I wasn't going to get a raise and told me why I wasn't going to get a raise. And then I found out later that it wasn't true. And not only was it not true, but someone else did get a raise. And my boss had flat out lied to me about it. Now, that relationship didn't last long, as you can probably imagine. But there are lots of times when bosses in normal companies with poor leadership stand up and say things, and everyone kind of looks around at each other and says, "We know this isn't true." That is the second thing that people complain about most: deceptive or inconsistent. How many times have you been in a situation where you didn't know something was going to happen until it happened? And then everyone else said, "Did you know?" "I didn't know. Did you know?" So that's the inconsistent part, right? So inconsistent or vague. They don't do a good job of communicating, or maybe even outright deceptive communication, number 2. Number 3, okay? I've had number 2, by the way. If you've had number 2, if you've ever had a boss that was bad at communicating or maybe even outright deceptive in their communication practices, I'd love to hear a story about it. We're gathering information for a book. So if you'd share that, that would be great. And then the third one that people complain the most about is this one: unrealistic or unfair expectations. That bosses that are not empathetic or curious about why the results are the way they are and just unreasonable about what it is that they expect. Now, I got to be honest with you. If there is one that I can get better at in terms of my own leadership, it's probably this one. I set for myself a high standard, and I expect a high standard from others. And so I actually have a little bit of empathy or relatedness to the boss side of this one. So it's good for me to hear this, because if this is the third most complained about thing, I think back in my own career, where did my boss expect a certain standard of me that maybe was hard to meet. So think about that for yourself. Has there ever been that moment for you? And how can I be more empathetic? How can I lead from a place where people feel that I understand the challenges that they're facing even more? So this is one I'm going to use as a learning opportunity, even in my own leadership. So those are the three things that people complain the most about regarding their boss. Here's the one thing that I think makes the biggest difference. This, in 30 years of leading, the thing that has helped me be the boss more and more on a daily basis that I wish I always had is to be a leader instead of a boss. What do we mean by that? Bosses tell people what to do. Bosses enforce. Bosses ask for compliance. And leadership is about casting a vision and enrolling people in the vision, asking them whether they can buy in and believe in the vision as a destination, the results as the outcome of the expression of that vision. So be a leader, not a boss. And you lead by first casting a vision. Second, what do you do second? To be the boss you wish you always had. Empower those people that have bought into the vision. Empower them. How do you empower them? You empower them two ways. You express all the time, regularly, that you believe in them and that you know that they are capable of great things. And then you back that up by providing them with the resources to win, the resources to succeed. You can't hold people accountable to a result if you don't give them all the tools required to win. So give them what they need. Yes, tell them how powerful they are. Tell them how amazing they are, how smart they are. And as they've bought into your vision, they will thrive and flourish as a result. And then give them what's required. Give them the resources. Give them the training. Give them the tools to be able to express that greatness. That's number two in terms of being the boss you wish you always had. And then lastly, look for every opportunity to help them get promoted and grow. I am very proud of the number of people that I've trained and motivated over the years that went on to get promoted into their own leadership roles. It's happened over and over. It's really the hallmark or the thing in my own leadership I'm most proud of, the number of people that I have led that are now leading. And so that really, those three ways, I really believe that, be the boss you wish you always had by being a leader, cast a vision, see the potential in the people that you're working with, tell them how powerful they are, resource them, give them the tools, and then help them get promoted and thrive. You do that, you'll be the boss you wish you always had and not one of the nightmare bosses that we talked about. If you found this information helpful or valuable, share it with someone. Would you do that, please? Just click that share button and let someone else know that they matter to you by sharing this information. Click the like or subscribe button, the little bell in the corner, so you can get notifications the next time we create a video and we can have you as a part of the community. I want to say I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Until we're together again in the future, always think bravely and act boldly.